Hello and welcome to another episode of the Diet Obsessed podcast. I am your host, Veronica Santarelli. I am a certified personal trainer, nutrition and weight loss coach, and this podcast is for those of us who are just obsessed with everything related to improving health and longevity, with a special emphasis on food, fitness, and diet culture. All right, let's get into the show. Now, if you want to support the show, there are a couple ways you can do that. So this is one of my free episodes. I do 2 free episodes every other week, and then every other week I have a premium content show. And you can subscribe to that premium content wherever you listen to podcasts, Patreon, Apple Podcasts. The other way you can support is just to leave a rating or review. Leaving that rating, clicking those stars means the world to us. Also, if you happen to be on YouTube, clicking the subscribe button on YouTube doesn't cost a thing. It just allows you to follow the show, and it really does help us video podcasts. And I appreciate your support. All right, everyone, let's get into my mental health check-in. I do have a very interesting media review later about breast implant illness. But first, let's get into my regular segments. Now, today is my first day of my new schedule. I have today off. Today's a Monday. I did have to work my, what I called my side hustle job, my relationship club job, just a few hours this morning. So that was fine, but I have the rest of the day off. So this will be my new podcast day. And it's 105 degrees here in Arizona. So I spent a little time in the pool. I'm having a little glass of wine on my day off. I know I'm not a huge drinker, but I don't know. Today I felt like having a glass of wine. So here I am. I am 2 glasses in. I worked. I did make sure to get my workout in. That was very important to me. But I wanted to take a little bit of a mental health break and have a glass of wine and do whatever the hell I wanted to do today. It's like today is technically a day off, even though, again, I worked a few hours at my other job, but I don't have to go to my full-time job. And so I'm like, I don't know, I felt like having a glass of wine, I'm going to have a glass of wine. Not that that's going to help my fat loss goal at all. Anyway, here I am. And I wanted to, in this mental health check-in, I usually am talking about my own mental health. I'm usually talking about anything that's affected my mental health this week. And I wanted to do a little bit of a different segment because I've been hearing this thing pop up a lot. I listen to a ton of podcasts, and I keep hearing this thing pop up that I need to address today. And the reason I think this fits into my mental health check-in is if any of you have teenage sons or very young adult sons, this could be affecting your young adult son, and you might not even be aware of it. So let me do a little PSA here and educate the public, okay? So I've been listening to all my favorite podcasts, and I keep hearing this Polymarket. Oh, bet it on Polymarket. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, why are all of my favorite podcasters promoting gambling? And I'm like, this is gambling. This is literally gambling on everything or anything under the sun. And I'm hearing these, again, my favorite podcasters promote gambling, and they're doing it. They must be well paid. I'm sure Polymarket is paying all of these hosts very well to promote this new this new gambling platform. And Polymarket is trying not to be perceived as a gambling platform. Well, I am here to educate the public and to defy all of the podcasters out there that are selling this and promoting this. This is a gambling platform, people. You are betting, you are losing your money most of the time, right? Anybody that's educated on gambling know The reason these casinos exist is because the house wins. They wouldn't exist if the house didn't win the majority of the time, okay? I grew up with an alcoholic father with a gambling problem, okay? God rest his soul. Dad, love you to death. But I grew up, like, first, my youngest years were in a restaurant, which is why I'm food obsessed. But then I'm around a poker table the rest of my life, inhaling all the secondhand smoke in the air because everybody smoked cigarettes, and watching this gambling happen. And I never got into gambling. Thank God. Thank God I never picked up on that bad habit. I've many bad habits I've picked on from my dad, especially. Again, God rest his soul. Love you, Dad, but you had a lot of bad habits. Luckily, I did not pick up on the gambling. I do not like to lose. I always lose. I've very infrequently gambled, and the majority of the time I've lost. I remember one time my ex-boyfriend, we were in Vegas, he puts $100 on black on the roulette table. He wins. I like drag him away to the table. I'm like, nope, that's it. We won $100. Let's go spend it somewhere. Let's go take that winning and go spend it somewhere. Well, this is more nefarious in my mind, because basically what they've done is they've taken betting and they've opened it up to everything. Who's going to win Best Actress at the Oscars? Is the host of the Oscars going to mention Will Smith? Is, how, again, anything, will David Letterman say, Shakira's name? I don't know, just random things. You're betting on literally everything, the outcome of an election. Now, I kept hearing these podcasters mention this, and I was getting annoyed. I'm like, why are my people promoting gambling to me? I don't want to gamble. I don't want this promoted to me. But obviously you can't help it. Podcasters, they're going to make their money. That's how they make money. Advertisement, right? Sponsors, whatever. And I'm not about trying to take money out of the hands of all, especially the women that I follow. They're all women. This is a big thing. I promoted Prolon, right? The fasting, science-based, whatever. Like, this is how we make money. However, I think there's gotta be a line, right? Like Taylor Strucker that I always review on this show. She had a line of, what was it? There was some sort, I think it was like Xenadrine or some sort of like weight loss drug that could give people heart attacks, right? She was like, I don't necessarily feel good promoting this thing. People might actually die from this, so I don't really feel like promoting this. So there are people that have boundaries, if you will, right? Like, I doubt Josh Peck on The Good Guys would promote actively an alcohol or marijuana brand because he is sober, right? Now, obviously, he talks about Spritz Society because that's his partner's alcohol company, but overall, he's not going to be sitting here schlepping alcohol and drug companies. That's just not his brand, right? So, but I think there must have been this huge outreach campaign with a ton of influencers because they're all promoting Polymarket. And I briefly heard what made me want to do this segment is we are in a very challenging economic time. There's lots of wars happening. There's AI coming and replacing jobs. And I'm like, people are just going to keep losing money gambling on this platform. And so I think I watched this one YouTube video that said, Polymarket seems like a scam. We actually tried to find their corporate headquarters. They say that they have this corporate headquarters at this location, and we sent investigators there, and there's nothing there. It's like a shell company that doesn't exist. And then there was and then that same YouTuber was talking about how anybody that has legal action against Polymarket ends up going on this endless loop and really can't get anywhere with it. So then I just listened to this podcast. It was from A More Perfect Union, and they were approached by Polymarket to promote them. And they were like, well, wait a minute, we need to actually investigate you and make sure we want to promote you before we do. We want to make sure you're legit. We want to make sure that you align with our morals and values. So, a more perfect union, I have great respect for you. So, all these other people that are just blindly are like, oh, money, great, let me promote you. This company actually was like, well, wait a minute. Let me make sure this is actually good for the people, my followers. Let me make sure this has value for them. And this isn't just going to be some scam that I promote, like FTX and all those celebrities that are like, yeah, buy FTX. Meanwhile, Sam Bankman-Fried was literally stealing their money to bet on it himself in the crypto scheme. So again, don't just blindly trust celebrities and influencers that you trust, right? Because they might just be monetarily incentivized. Clearly, that is what's happening here, right? So here's the thing. So they promote and pitch this company as if they're increasing democracy, as if they're increasing the desire to vote, which seems like something altruistic, if you will, promoting democracy. They sell it as if you can quit your part-time job, promote how much money, like make your rent. If you need to pay rent, make it here. Quit that part-time job, quit that side hustle that everybody has. You can make money on Polymarket. But, and the whole reason that they've become successful is that we live in a time where there's incredible financial insecurity, right? People feel very out of control of the world, of, what's happening with their jobs. There's tons of layoffs. This is supposedly giving them that control back. But does it? So this organization went to this New York location where they were giving out free groceries. And they wanted to understand, because this was like a Polymarket grocery store. And they were like, well, we want to understand, like, why is Polymarket catering to this, like, why are they trying to impress this working class? And because when they asked people that were getting these free groceries, what is this new world of prediction markets that they can invest in? And they didn't have any idea. They didn't know what Polymarket was. They didn't understand what the term prediction markets meant. And truly, I thought that they said that they were going to get back to like why they were promoting their services to the everyday man, to the working class who didn't understand prediction markets. And so we'll get to that soon. But they brought in this expert that was an expert in gambling markets. And he said the prediction market is like trading on outcomes in the real world. He's like, unlike sports betting, he's like, platforms are not supposed to benefit one way or the other on who wins, because sports platforms do. Like betting platforms, gambling platforms for sports, they do actually benefit when one person wins or the other. But this expert was saying that this platform in particular relies on insider trading. He's like, for example, he's like, if we're betting on like, how is this new record that's about to be released going to go number one? Or is this book that's about to be released going to become a bestseller? The majority of the market doesn't understand or know that, but there are insiders that do know that. The publishers, like the big group of publishers, anyone that works on that book knows if it's going to go to become a bestseller, New York Times bestseller, based on pre-sales, based on a lot of data that the regular public doesn't have access to. So is that fair, right? Like they could put that bet up and then bet on it and win, and everybody else that didn't have that insider knowledge could lose. And isn't that what's not supposed to happen with investing? Isn't there not supposed to be insider trading because it's not fair? Like the general public doesn't have this inside knowledge. Why is it okay for this platform? So that's what this expert was saying. These markets are inherently unfair because, again, you don't know who's putting up this bet. It could be an insider that knows the outcome. So there's a specific senator who's very against these prediction markets. And he's like, well, all government bets are definitely rigged. He believes that Polymarket should have a system to prevent this rigging, this rigging the system, right? He said, but all companies that put up bets are going to have the ability to do insider trading. He's like, it's impossible to avoid this on this type of platform. And he's like, he said the real kicker is that prediction markets are not as accurate as they pretend to be. Polymarket is just one example. There's this other platform that's the direct competitor of Polymarket. Now, for some reason, I've never heard of this platform. It's called Kalshi. Maybe some of you have heard it. But the range of predictability is anywhere from 78 to 67%, where the accuracy. It's 67%, a little better than a coin toss. He said, if these markets are not actually as accurate as they pretend to be, and they rely on insider trading, who actually wins? And so what they realized through the data that they pulled is that only 0.04% of the public capture the 70% of the profits. So the vast majority of the people placing bets on these platforms are losing their money. So then they have all these different examples of people that are thinking that this is a solution to their problems. People being like, oh, I bet $14,000 on all these different bets and I thought I was going to win, but then they're down 25,000 on sports betting. And these platforms, 40 to 60% are actually sports betting. So what they're saying is these platforms like Kashi and the Polymarket are not gambling. They're trying to position themselves as investment opportunities versus gambling or betting. But actually the reality is that the majority, almost the majority, 40% on Polymarket, 60, the majority on Kalshi. It's Kalshi. 60% of Kalshi users are sports betting. So the majority is still sports betting on these platforms. I mean, there's 40% on Polymarket, but still a very strong percentage is still sports betting. And in regular gambling, the loss is about 5%, prediction markets 8%. So they're trying to hide these stats that actually you'll lose more on a platform like this than actually in traditional gambling. So there's a lot of false promotion on what the potential is. And the reports are showing that this type of gambling is ruining lives, especially young men's lives. It's an addictive behavior, clearly, but they're putting it in everyone's hands. And with regular gambling, you have to be 21 years old to enter a casino, to take part in these statewide gambling businesses. With Polymarket and these gambling sites, you only have to be 18. So they don't want to be seen as part of the downfall of America, but they actually are. They're very, very careful about the words that they choose to promote their services. They've removed the word betting. They've replaced it with event contracts. But there are a ton of class action lawsuits. People that felt bamboozled into thinking that this wasn't about gambling, but it was. The other problem is these websites are being protected. right? They're being protected because they're not regulated. So any casinos, like, I live in Arizona where there's a lot of casinos, and they're on Indian property, and the tribes own these. And that was part of their deal with the federal government, that they get to benefit from this. And the states get to heavily tax gambling. And it's one of those vice things like cigarettes, right? We know cigarettes are going to kill you. We're going to heavily tax it. That way the taxes deter you from doing that. But it's legal, it's heavily regulated, and the states do benefit. So we can build schools, and we can build bridges, and we can help with infrastructure. And these states have a lot of regulations that mandate Gamblers Anonymous and promoting education around, hey, if you're feeling like you have a problem with this, here's where you can seek help. So any of these organizations have to have these different, they have to abide by these different stipulation and regulations put forth by the states that regulate them. Now, Polymarket, Kalshi, they avoid all of these taxes. They avoid all of these regulations because they're governed by this organization called let's see, what's it called? The CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which is an independent federal agency that regulates the derivatives markets, including futures, options, and swaps. Its primary goal is to promote market integrity, resilience, and vibrancy while promoting against fraud, manipulation, and abusive practices in the commodities and financial derivatives markets. So they're governed by the CFTC. And guess why? Because Donald Trump Jr. is a special advisor to Polymarket and Kalshi. So they're ensuring that the CFTC is the governing board and that these platforms are not regulated like gambling platforms in different states. And if I was a casino owner, if I was somebody that owned a sports betting platform in Las Vegas or Arizona, guess what? I would have a major problem with that. I have to pay over 50% taxes, and this platform is avoiding taxes and being able to sell to 18-year-olds. Guess what? I'm going to have a problem with that. But because Trump's family benefits, they're protected. So this is the problem with having a government where the family in charge, that's the president's family, has financial gain into different organizations and businesses. Most presidential families would avoid conflicts of interest like that. Not Trump's family. Shocking. Don't use Polymarket. Tell everybody, promote it. Any influencers that are promoting this, you are part of the problem. You are taking financial gain from young people in America who literally can't pay their rent and are thinking this is some sort of investment platform, and it's not. You're promoting gambling. Shame on you. Sorry. Even Taylor Strecker, that I fucking love, is taking money from Polymarket and is promoting this shit. Shame. Stop it. Don't take money from this terrible, what should be illegal platform that has literally no morals and values. I would not take money from this platform. Polymarket tries to come to me. I'm not going to promote gambling. I'm just not. It's as much as I love money and being able to be financially stable, I do have some principles. Okay. So anyway, this I will end with this. So this person on the one of the chat rooms for one of these Polymarket Kalshi companies was like, "Hey guys, looking for some advice. I took a loan out for $2,000 to be able to bet on this platform. I had $1,000 left to my name. I went all in. I had a couple of good days, a 5-day good run, and then I lost everything. Now I have rent coming up. I have my phone bill coming up. What do I do? Is that what you want to promote? I don't want to promote that. I don't want to be responsible for someone losing everything that they have and suddenly can't pay their rent. No, thank you. I think I'll stick to, I'm happy to not make that money on Polymarket to be able to sleep at night. So, anyway, that is my mental health check-in of the week. I hope all of you are having a great mental health week yourselves. All right, let's get into a Science of Strength segment. Now, my Science of Strength segment is going to be is all about not pushing yourself so hard that you end up hurting yourself, dying. So I live in Arizona. Last year there was an influencer who she was very in shape. She went hiking in the summer on this very popular mountain, Camelback Mountain, and she ended up getting dehydrated and wandering slightly off path, getting lost. She died. She died of heat exhaustion and dehydration. And I recently read an article in People about a 38-year-old fitness influencer who drowned while swimming in a Texas Ironman triathlon. So this was a Brazilian triathlete named Mara Flavia, and she drowned in this, obviously with Ironmans, you've got running, you've got biking, you've got swimming, and it's a lot. Some people do half Ironmans. A full Ironman is just very, very intense. This took place at the Woodlands, which in my side hustle job, that's where we've promoted events at the Woodlands, which is this kind of like camping area. It's a little north in kind of like the Texas, like kind of like Dallas, Houston, but northern. And they tried to rescue her, but she was doing this triathlon in the Woodlands, and this specific Ironman had a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and a 26.2 mile run. When Flavia started, she disappeared underwater shortly after the start of the swimming portion of the competition. Some of the fellow competitors and lifeguards tried to dive to retrieve her body and rescue her. It seems like they recognized it very quickly. There was a group of volunteers, there was a kayak there, they were whistling that they needed help. But the person in charge could see that they were panicking and that there was a lot of fear on their faces. And so one of the leaders of the group dove immediately to search for her. And they ended up feeling her body with their foot. And then they went back under, and she was just gone at that point. She had over 60,000 Instagram followers at the time. So it doesn't say what came first. Was she running first? Was this the last part of the race? It doesn't give an explanation as to why she ended up drowning. It doesn't say if she, maybe she inhaled water. They don't know. But it's always very shocking and stunning when somebody that's in their peak shape and competing ends up, something terrible happens, like they drown. And I'll never forget, back in 2021, I know I talked about it on this show, but there was a race in China. It was in the Gansu province. And it was a very intense race. It was actually it was 100-kilometer, a 62-mile ultra marathon. And then there was sudden extreme weather conditions: freezing rain, hail, high winds. And it happened at the Yellowstone River Stone Forest. And just the participants were just totally not equipped to deal with the weather. They were on a steep mountain path. They were in very light clothing. They were just exposed to extreme drops in temperature and high altitudes, gale force winds, freezing rain, and they were just suffering from hypothermia. A lot of them were in shorts and t-shirts. They didn't have gear for extreme cold. The course was in a remote area with poor communication, lack of access to emergency services. There were people that were jailed for this. China doesn't mess around. There were actually 5 people that went to jail for this. But there was a local shepherd that was credited with saving several runners. And there were 700 people that saved 151 participants. So, there were a lot of rescues, but was also just a lot of people that perished in that. It's just terrible. I remember when I used to work at Equinox, we had a gentleman who was a member who participated in a lot of Ironmans. And he went to this yoga class, and again, this extreme competitor ended up trying to do this yoga move that he probably shouldn't have tried, and threw out his shoulder and had to have shoulder surgery. So I just think that a lot of people that are these extreme athletes sometimes push themselves too hard, don't always listen to their bodies. And I think that you have to listen to your body. You have to know when you've had too much. And that's what I try to do now. After I did my physical fitness test when I was trying to get to the Marines, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take it easy for the rest of my life. I'm going to challenge myself, but not too much. So, yeah. So that is my Science of Strength segment of the week. All right, let's get into a nutrient news segment. Now, I saw this article come out about how people that eat vegetables have a higher propensity for cancer. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, this is such bullshit. And I'm so glad that Dr. IDZ that I listened to debunked this ridiculous research. And so because he's a doctor and he will explain it way better than I will, I'm going to let him explain it in this clip. But I knew, just seeing this, they put these headlines in and it's all clickbait, and I knew that it was not good research, right? There's so much research that's done anything that's proven has something anti against it with research. And some research is very robust and some of it is very minimal. And the approach that they took is not as scientific as other research. So I am going to let Dr. Ids talk about this specific research, the participants that were involved, how they reported their results. So here's the clip.
So breaking news, guys, a new study shows that fruits and vegetables may increase your risk of cancer. Okay, so this headline has been spreading like wildfire recently, with many large newspapers, media outlets and social media influencers talking about it. And it's just getting ridiculous, so time for school. First of all, this is not a peer-reviewed research paper. It's an abstract that was presented at a medical conference. We do not have the full methods, full statistical analysis, full limitations, or full data sets. So any news outlet or social media influencer making claims about this paper is talking waffle. So what they did was look at just 166 patients who already had lung cancer, then assessed their past dietary patterns and compared their diet quality scores to US reference ranges. And they speculate that pesticide exposure could be the reason for the increased lung cancer risk. So what this means is that the exposure and the outcome were assessed at the same time, so it's a cross-sectional analysis, There was no prospective follow-up, no randomization, no intervention, no ability to establish causation or temporal sequence, and it's also important to note that there was no matched healthy control cohort. They mainly compared these patients to N. Haynes population averages, which introduces all sorts of confounding issues. And there are loads of plausible explanations that have nothing to do with fruits and veggies or pesticide residues causing cancer. For example, women generally eat more fruits and veggies than men on average, and this cohort was 84% female. EGFR mutated cancers are already known to be more common in women in never smokers and people with generally healthier lifestyles. Higher socioeconomic status is also associated with generally healthier lifestyles, greater healthcare access. The comparison was against average US dietary intakes. Americans generally underconsume fruits and veggies, so exceeding that average doesn't even mean you're consuming a lot. Reverse causation is possible. Some patients may have changed their diet before diagnosis because of worsening symptoms. Confounding factors were not fully accounted for. Things like air pollution, occupational exposure, secondhand smoke, genetics, all these things matter in lung cancer risk. And the authors didn't even measure pesticide exposure, the thing they're speculating about. They simply inferred potential contaminant exposure based on what people reported to consume. And here's the key part. When we look at research across 41 individual studies on 4.3 million people over 41,000 cases of lung cancer with a follow-up of up to 25 years, we see that as you consume more fruits and vegetables, your risk of lung cancer goes down. So no, big broccoli is not out to give you lung cancer. Class dismissed.
Now, after watching that clip, I'm certainly not going to cut back on the amount of vegetables I eat. I will continue to try to wash by organic and try to wash the pesticides and any other contaminants off my produce. And of course, when I first heard about it, I'm like, oh, it's the pesticide. But I also just think it's bad research. Anyway, that is my nutrient news segment of the week. All right, let's get into a foodie fail. So when my mom was here, I think I mentioned it. We went to Chompy's, which is this incredible Jewish bakery near me, and we bought some of that New York crumb cake, they call it, but it's that coffee cake with that crumb topping that's like just as thick as the cake, the coffee cake. Oh, so good. And luckily I've bought it there before. I haven't bought it there in a while. I think because the last time I bought it, it was a little dry. But when my mom and I went and we picked up 2 pieces and oh my God, it was so good. It was nice and moist. And I don't know, the crumb topping has almost this like, not creaminess, but like unctuousness to it. So good. So I've just been thinking about that coffee cake ever since I had it, wanting more. And this weekend, I'm like, I definitely have all the ingredients to make my own coffee cake. And instead of going out and spending like $5 or $6 on a slice, why don't I just make my whole cake and then I can have all of it to myself? Or I'll share with Chad. But I was like, I'll have a lot that I can eat throughout the weekend. So Saturday night, we get back. We didn't go anywhere. We had like a little pool day at our house, but I drank quite a bit that day and I was definitely like a little tipsy when I was cooking. But I looked up this recipe that seemed like a good recipe, but it was not an easy recipe. Like they wanted me to use this professional mixer to like cream the butter and sugar. I had to cream it and there were all these different steps. And at first I didn't get out my big mixer to do the creaming, but I'm like, at first I was trying to use my immersion mixer. I need to get a hand mixer. But anyway, I tried to use my immersion mixer, which wasn't really working. So I finally got it out and redid it and decided to try to cream it because I want to do it right. I'm like, I want this to be delicious. So I thought I followed everything to perfection. Looking back, again, who knows if I missed something. I might have just missed an ingredient because I was a little tipsy at the time. But I also think I put in maybe too much baking powder. Anyway, I don't know that my proportions were measured perfectly. It ended up, you guys, it looked so good. It looked delicious. It looked perfect. It rose. It had a big thick crumb topping. Was like counting down the seconds till I could cut into it and eat a piece because I had to wait 45 minutes. And I even took it out. You know, it called to be baked for like 45 to 55 minutes, but I didn't want to overcook it. So I took it out actually at like 35 to 38 minutes. And I'm like, I really don't want this to be dry. So I took it out early thinking, okay, it'll be nice and moist. Nope. Terrible, 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 terrible. Foodie fail. It was dry. It was so dry. Oh my God. It was the driest from bite one, right out of the pan. It was dry as hell. And the crumb topping was like gritty. It was gritty sugar, gritty flour. I don't know. It was terrible. Everything about it, except the way that it looked good. It looked like it was going to be delicious. Terrible. So annoying. I literally had to I finally just took this thing and put it all, I'm taking these big chunks and I'm forcing it down the garbage disposal because I'm like, I'm not going to eat this thing and waste all those calories on this terrible baked good that did not come out well at all. So it broke my heart. I wasted all that butter. I wasted all that cream cheese and flour, wasted all those ingredients. Terrible. So that was my foodie fail of the week. All right, let's get into my healthy habits. So, it's only been I just recorded my last podcast on Thursday. So I haven't had a lot of time to have some healthy habits since my last recording, except the fact that even as I eat all of this indulgent shit, I am still working out, okay? I took Saturday off, but I did work out on Sunday. I made sure, because I just wanted to start drinking wine and recording this podcast, but I did make sure to work out before I started recording this because I did end up indulging on Sunday, which I'll tell you about in a second. So I'm like, I have got to work out today. So I did get my workout in, doing a lot of strength training, doing a lot of, not as much cardio, but a lot of strength training. I did end up getting some good vitamin D on Saturday. So I had to work on Saturday most of the day, but Chad ended up wanting to do this boat racing in the pool, and he did this whole live thing for his YouTube channel. And one of our friends came over that's trying to build her TikTok. And so we had just a fun, very, very, very chill pool day. And usually when I have a pool day, I'm cooking a bunch of stuff and entertaining and doing all this stuff. But that's a day that I don't have to work. I didn't have that luxury. I was literally working all day. And, I went out at the end, they had already been here for a few hours and just joined everyone. So it wasn't like one of those pool parties that I'm entertaining everyone and having a million people at my house and putting out a huge spread. I literally did not even plan on anything because people were just coming through to record that and then basically leaving. So we just, I don't know, it was very weird for me to have people in my home and to not have prepared all this food for them. So, we just put out some little snacky stuff. So anyway, so when people left, we had a lot of food left over from the week that I didn't want to go bad. So I had a couple more turkey meatballs. I still have my vegan bowl stuff that I haven't finished. And I have more vegan bowl stuff. I still have a whole half bag of sweet potatoes. I have 2 mangoes that I haven't cut up. So I'm probably going to just do the vegan bowl again because I do have to use the rest of these ingredients. I don't want them to go bad. So I think I'm going to be forced to eat that this week. Not forced, but self-imposed forcing of eating. I don't want anything to go bad. So I'll do that. I did get a bag. I talked about on my last podcast how I've been gaining and gaining and gaining weight. And again, I'm making whole coffee cakes to try to eat. So again, this is why I'm gaining weight. I'm not in a fat loss mode, but I'm in an eating mode. I don't know. I'm in an eating mode. I'm sometimes bored at work. I just want to eat. I don't know. I'm just in this mode right now where I'm not able to cut back calorically in ways that I have in the past. I just feel like indulging more. I feel like comfort in emotionally eating more. And so that's where I'm at. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do this week. And when I went to Trader Joe's, I did buy a bag of pea pods because I'm like, let me have some raw vegetables to snack on in between my vegan bowl and in between all these other things that I can't stop eating. So we'll see. I'm just trying not to gain weight through this week. Eventually I'll be able to lean. Like today I had just some eggs. I've had a protein shake, I've had eggs, and I've had wine. Called balance, people. Anyway, those are my healthy habits of the week. I hope all of you are having much healthier habits this week yourselves. All right, let's get into my tasty treats of the week. So again, as I approach the weekends, I'm like, I'm not going to go hog wild. There have been times in the past where I'm like, I need this and I need this and I need this bag of chips and I still do want to indulge on my weekends, but I'm trying not to have so much stuff that it's carrying on through my week. So this past trip to Trader Joe's, I wanted something delicious for the weekend and I wanted to try something new. So I did find these yellow lemon yogurt coated animal crackers that had these little like rainbow sprinkles on them. Very satisfying. I put them in the freezer, crunchy, lemony. Again, I usually don't eat lemon, but the rainbow sprinkles with yellow like vibrancy and then the textural like unctuousness of having a frozen yogurt coated cookie to crunch into. Very, very satisfying. And I only bought the little mini packet. So I only had one packet of that. And then I had to get these. So I've told you about the Trader Joe's ice cream sandwiches where it's 2 chocolate chip cookies with vanilla ice cream. And then they're like rolled in chocolate chips. So good. They had these new ones that was like a chocolate cookie with cookies and cream ice cream. Oh my God. To die for. So they were 330 calories each, and I ate 3 of them yesterday. So that was the bulk of my calories yesterday. So good. And that was like, I had all that sweet stuff, like the animal crackers, the ice cream, so much sugar, so many carbs. I did go to sleep a little bit nauseous last night. For saltiness, I kind of ate what I had in the house. I had a frozen pizza in the house. I didn't even make it. I think after my last couple foodie fails, I just haven't wanted to go overboard with what I'm buying or even making. So I just kind of used some of the stuff that I already had. Like I had a piece of buttered toast with some of the Pecorino Romano cheese on it. And that was really good. And that was pretty much. I'm trying to think if I had anything else. Oh, I did have a couple of turkey meatballs with some corn. Nothing too exciting. So yeah, so nothing too exciting. The ice cream sandwiches and the animal crackers were the highlight of the weekend. So those were my tasty treats of the week. I hope all of you have had some delicious tasty treats this week yourselves. All right, let's get into my media review. Now, I did watch this YouTube video that was quite startling, and I wanted to do a full review on it. I know I've covered this topic in the past about breast plant illness, but this one was real life women talking about their experiences. And there's just a lot of women still getting breast implants. And so this is, I think, just good information to have if anyone out there is considering getting breast implants. So a lot of these women had autoimmune issues, gut issues, their hair was falling out, issues with their skin, even respiratory issues. So this woman actually made a very important analogy, and I never thought about it before. She talked about, so this woman was a nurse, and she talked about how she's like, we tell people all the time, you're not supposed to drink bottles of water that have been sitting in your car, right? Because obviously, the heats, all the chemicals from that plastic have leached into the water, and you're drinking all these chemicals, it's getting into your bloodstream. Well, your body temperature is almost 100 degrees, and you're putting these bags of plastic in your body, and they're heated to almost 100 degrees all the time. What is that doing? What chemicals are getting into your bloodstream internally because they're in your body, heated to that level of a temperature every single day? And you don't think about stuff like that. You're like, oh, that kind of makes sense. And they also brought up the fact that the mental anguish, because getting them out is very different from getting them in. When you're getting breast implants, women that do it, obviously they're doing it because maybe they literally have no breasts, and they feel like, oh, getting these enhanced will make me more feminine, will make me more desired, will make me feel better about myself, will make me feel confident, right? There's all of these promises, or thoughts at least, of the benefits that are going to come from this. And then and you make that investment, right? Women spend thousands and thousands of dollars on this surgery, which again, you're undergoing anesthesia. You risk your life anytime you're going under anesthesia, period. Right? But you're doing it because all of these desired outcomes. And then women that have to get them out, right? And the mental anguish of, okay, I'm not going to look the same anymore. I did this to look more aesthetically pleasing. And now I know I'm going to be less aesthetically pleasing, but at the end of the day, I just want to feel healthy. I just want to feel normal again. So it's a lot of women, at least that were pictured here, like it really teaches you what's important in life. Like, you thought that having this aesthetic look was the most important thing. But when you lose your health, when you don't feel good anymore, when you're suffering from day to day, you realize truly that your health is everything. And, you're willing to sacrifice the way that you look, spend more money just to feel healthy again. So it's a major difference in mental thought and where you're headed to in one way versus the other when you finally decide to have the explant. There was a girl that she went from This girl had so many health issues. She ended up developing lupus. She ended up developing Crohn's disease. She started at a size A. She ended up going to a size D. And this girl was in tears. Like, you saw this girl in this video just in her car crying. Just, she's like, because she's realizing that she'll actually never get back to where she was. So she started out as a size A. She ended up getting, a size D. But when she made this decision, she's like, I also made this decision when I was in my early 20s. She's like, I was like 22. She's like, my brain hadn't fully developed. She's like, so I had all these ideas of wanting to do this. And by the time, and she only had them in for like 2 years. She went from an A to a D. Then she's like, my brain finished developing. And I'm suddenly 25 and realizing that I'm never going to be the same again. I might have lost feeling in certain areas. My skin is going to be stretched. Like, I am never going to go back to where I was. But I have to make this decision now because I made the wrong one earlier. And now this is how at least I'm going to be healthy again. Another girl described it. So she went and she got breast surgery, and she said right after she felt this like stabbing pain. She was never comfortable, but then she started feeling this like stabbing pain in her breast. She felt like heat, like it was like hot and uncomfortable. She said she was so uncomfortable. It was like this heaviness on her chest. She said she couldn't even breathe properly. So many women in this video felt like they couldn't catch their breath. They couldn't actually breathe fully. And then they couldn't sleep. Their sleep was affected, which obviously we know how important sleep is to your health. As soon as she got the implants taken out, she could breathe fully. She was sleeping better. Her skin cleared up. Her autoimmune issues went away. All of these women had complete remission of their health symptoms as soon as they had these implants removed. And it's crazy because, look, and this is, they talk about, oh, be honest about your plastic surgery. Like the Kardashians were never honest. And lately Kylie's come out with, exactly what she had for implants and the size, the amount of cc she had. I think she talked about her doctor. And again, so many people gave her credit for being honest, but then there's the other side that she is immensely influential. And a lot of girls seeing how sexy she looks, how great her work was done, how she seems to not have any issues or repercussions from this surgery, they are going to be influenced by that. And they're most likely going to have a higher propensity to get that surgery based on the fact that Kylie Jenner had it and she looks so good and she hasn't had any issues. And that's not going to be the case for everyone. Not everyone is going to be able to afford that kind of doctor. Not everyone's body is going to be able to acclimate to these sudden foreign objects being placed in their chest cavity. They talked about how the implant would press down on their natural breast and kind of degress their own tissue. And once they removed it, over a period of time, it would kind of fluff back into place, and some of their own natural tissue would come back in. But it's still very traumatic. I talked about that woman that I follow on Instagram I think she must have had some of the same repercussions because she did have that explant surgery, and she talks about some of the mental health that she struggles with, just not seeing herself with those implants. And again, visually, obviously, that look is very desirable, but at what cost, right? And some of these women that get these implants are just teeny tiny people. Their body has to stretch so much to fit these implants in. I think Victoria Beckham ended up getting them removed, and she might have had repercussions because she was so teeny tiny, and they always look like these big hard rocks on her chest because, again, she's like stretching her skin so much to fit these again this fake material in. So again, to each your own. I think we all need to do our own research. The BBL surgeries were even more dramatic. But this was, you imagine these poor people that, again, you spend all this money to look better. You spend all this money for this desired outcome. And then you have to just spend so much more just to get back to where you were. So anyway, that is my media review of the week. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if any of you have impressionable young teenagers who are considering this, send them onto YouTube. Have them look at the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's the great thing with the information age that we're in, is you can do your research. You can really see, like I've been talking about all the time how I want to get bleph, like a bleph, upper bleph. I also realize that I naturally have hooded eyes, and that's how I've looked my entire life. And if I end up getting an upper bleph, it may change my look so dramatically that I might not like that. So I have to be very careful about when I get surgery, and is it actually going to be the outcome I want? Is it going to change my look so much that I don't recognize myself anymore, that I don't like the way that looks? I am worried about that, because they say that a lot of these people that have that hooded look regret it. And I like my hooded look. I don't like the fact that this is now drooping over this. I can't do a cat eye. I don't like that. But I am concerned that the loss of skin in my upper eye might change the shape of my eye. So I'm a little worried about that. We'll see. But anyway, that is the show. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any recommendations of podcasts I should listen to, please feel free to DM me and follow me at the Diet Obsessed Podcast. Please leave a rating and review. Click those stars at the bottom of wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a comment. If you'd like to subscribe to my premium content, you can do that through Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, or patreon.com. Just search the Diet Obsessed Podcast. And until we meet again, I hope all of you have a very balanced week.